Hello, saints and scholars. Welcome back to Theolife, where today we're going to look at the hard problem of consciousness. Let's begin today by looking at a definition for the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem of consciousness is a philosophical issue that tries to explain why and how physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experience or qualia. In your brain right now, you might be writing the lyrics to a song, figuring out string theory, or asking, are you gonna go see the next Marvel movie? Like, you know all the movies are bad now, but you know, it's kind of a tradition to go see all the Marvel movies. These experiences are a series of non-physical phenomena happening within your being right now. But how does this come about? Before we go forward, let's remind ourselves of the three perceptions of reality. The first perception would be idealism. This is the belief that only that which is an idea exists. All existence exists purely within our mind. The second idea is materialism, which is the belief that everything is physical and comes from material phenomenon. The second belief being dualism, belief that there is a material and a spiritual plane of existence. How does this relate to the hard problem of consciousness? Let's start by comparing it to the easy problem of consciousness. The easy problem of consciousness seeks to explain how physical phenomena happen within your physical body. We understand how sound waves hit you within your eardrum and cause vibrations which go into your brain and create certain stimuli. For example, when I hear music, we understand how the sound waves are created, how those sound waves are perceived by my ear, how my ear can send that information onto my brain, who then makes a series of electrical pulses and increased blood flow so that I perceive these sounds. That's the easy problem of consciousness. We understand how my brain can tell my body to move, how I can see things around me, or how I can create sound with my mouth. But these are simpler processes. This is something we would see in a zombie. A zombie can see and hear and is driven by physical impulses. But a zombie doesn't seem to have something else. Now, a zombie and I will share a lot in common. A zombie has physical impulses. We can both hear, we can both see, we both are driven by physical desires. Both the zombie and I can listen to New World by Dvorak. Yet I am unique because I'll start to appreciate this song. I'll stop what I'm doing and take a moment to experience the joy of this music. The lovely, soft tones elevate my spirits. I also have a wonderful nostalgic feeling with this music because it's something I've been listening to from the time I was very young. I might even start to sing along with it. These material sound waves are hitting my brain, yet something non-material is being created within me. These sound waves are creating something that we cannot measure. They create joy, nostalgia, appreciation of beauty. They bring back old memories. And I can love this piece of music. A zombie will never have this phenomenon. We can understand the easy problem of consciousness. We can understand how physical phenomena create physical responses. Yet how do physical phenomena create non-physical responses? Another fascinating aspect of the mind is our inability to measure our thoughts. Let's do an experiment. What am I thinking? Okay, I'm emanating this idea to you, okay? I'm using all my mental powers to... Okay, I want you to pick this up. Okay, are you getting this? Are you getting this? Did you get it? Yep. No? Fail! You have no way of measuring what is happening within my subjective mind. You can put the most advanced MRI scanner upon my brain, and you will still not know what I'm thinking. You might see increased blood flow go to areas like excitement or sadness or nostalgia or music, but there's no place in my brain where you can note what thoughts I'm actually having. We are having these subjective experiences outside of physical phenomenon. Thus, we find something within humans that is quite unique. Let's look at the hard problem of consciousness within a syllogism. Premise 1 states, if a physical process cannot fully explain human consciousness, then there must be a non-physical source. Premise 2, human consciousness, like self-awareness, intentionality, or qualia, cannot be explained by a physical process. Therefore, the conclusion would be that human consciousness must have a non-physical source. A materialist might argue All of the feelings you're describing are just material things happening in the brain. Nostalgia and joy are just your neurons firing electrons at different parts of your brain. The brain is an absolutely incredible organ capable of giving us a wide array of experiences. But you're confusing what is purely a physical experience with a spiritual experience. So how do we address the materialistic perspective? As a dualist, we would absolutely acknowledge the incredible power of the human brain. We would note that if someone has damage to their brain, we would expect to see huge physical repercussions from that incident. The question remains, are all of the feelings that we experience merely physical phenomenon? Let's examine the limits of materialism. The first area we're going to examine is neuroplasticity. You may have heard this idea before, and it may give you the impression that the brain is kind of like a lump of Play-Doh. The idea is that the brain is malleable. It can change over time. The decisions and actions you take in your life will change your brain. Your brain's actually one of the really amazing organs that doesn't necessarily have to deteriorate over time. Most parts of your body are going to age and deteriorate as you get older, but your brain has the possibility to continue to grow and to heal and be amazing. But it requires a tremendous amount of good choices to keep that fire going. So let's dig into this idea of neuroplasticity. You've probably experienced this phenomenon in your own life. There may have been a time when you were eating poorly and not exercising, and you found your body got more and more accustomed to that poor lifestyle. And the longer you maintained the lifestyle, the harder it was to break the habit until you became more and more unhealthy. Your brain adjusted to your choices and created a new identity that was disinclined to eat healthy or exercise.
I'm not fat, I'm big boned.
Yet, if you decide to adjust your behavior, it will be incredibly difficult at first. But the longer you do it, and the longer you maintain your habit, and the longer you change your choices, the more your brain will adjust to expect this as a normative behavior, and therefore the easier it will become, and the faster you will get healthier. Your brain will actually create new neural pathways to coincide with your better life choices. If the brain changes based on our choices, what causes the brain to change? If the brain changes based on a choice, where did the choice come from? You could say the brain, but how would the brain know it's supposed to change? If you can imagine it like a computer, if there is an error in the original coding of the computer, how would the computer know to fix that error? A computer wouldn't know what to do so because it can only run off the system presently set in the system. The only way to fix the computer would be from an external source telling the computer to update and change its code. If we take this metaphor with the brain, what is telling the brain to change? If it's a human choice, where is that choice coming from? Thus, the very fact that our lifestyle and our choices can actually change the brain itself would give us this very strong indication of the possibility that our choices are not coming from inside the brain. There is an external source that is adjusting the brain on our behalf. We see a very similar process for people who go through cognitive therapy. People who suffer from a stroke or OCD can engage in a series of brain exercises that can start to rewire and heal their brain. Mental exercises for stroke victims can actually undo the damage of a stroke, showing again that the brain can be adjusted by intentional hard work. Another fascinating area is in studies with people who have multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder. These are people who believe that they have several identities or characters living within them. When we take people with multiple personalities, it's been known for them to have a personality that is blind and another personality which can see perfectly. A fascinating thing starts to happen in the brain. When people are living inside the personality of the blind individual, the part of their brain responsible for visual perception actually shuts down. They literally have a physiological response to the belief that they are a personality that is blind. Something shuts off that part of the brain. People tried to repeat this exact same phenomenon with actors. People who are professional at this tried incredibly hard to imagine that they couldn't see, and no matter what they did, they were unable to turn off that part of their brain, thus showing a fascinating phenomenon that something was able to change the brain, most likely outside of the brain itself. Finally, let's look at the fascinating area of people born with little to no brain. As strange as it may sound, for a variety of reasons, many babies are born with little to no brain. While such children have severe physical and mental disabilities, they have been known to develop personalities, have interactive relationships, and start to develop cognitive motor function. One example would be Andrew C. Vandal, born in 1975. While developing in utero, it appears that a cyst developed over his brainstem that prevented a brain from growing at all. Andrew was born with no discernible brain, leading doctors to believe he would never grow, never respond, and never smile. Yet this was proven wrong. As Andrew was able to grow, he learned how to smile, interact with others, and even developed a form of movement by scooting himself across the floor. Andrew died peacefully at 9 years old, surrounded by a family whom he loved very much. Another example of this would be with the British boy Noah Walls. Noah Walls was born with less than 2% of his brain. From birth, Noah had a very grim prognosis for survival and an even lower prognosis for being able to do any of the normal things that children enjoy doing. Yet with the help of his family and the medical community, Noah started to have incredible development. By age 3, Noah's brain had gone from 2% matter to 80% matter. Now at 12 years old, Noah continues to develop his motor skills and his personality. These cases, among others, will be strong indicators that personality can develop outside of the presence of a physical brain. Going back to our original syllogism, we would have strong evidence for showing that human consciousness and our personalities can develop outside of physical process, therefore leading us to the conclusion that parts of our personality and our very being have non-physical origins. While this is still an area that people are beginning to understand, it provides us with a unique insight into the human condition and very solid reasoning for determining that the human experience is not merely materialistic. Based on Christian dualism, we as Christians can offer a wonderfully unique perspective on mental health. We recognize it is vital to care for people both physiologically and spiritually. We need to provide care for people's physical needs while simultaneously caring for them as a spiritual being. We provide people with healthcare, food, and shelter, yet we also provide them with a community that encourages them to be forgiving, loving, and to connect with the source of all spiritual life, our God in heaven. Christian dualism gives us a perspective that we are both a physical being and a spiritual being, something that our intuitive nature and science can both verify. So does the brain change the spirit or the spirit change the brain? You let me know, because you decide.